Hi there, my name is Neil Blevins, and this tutorial is called Using Details to Make Something Look Big. So there are many techniques to make something look big, but this tutorial focuses specifically on details, and how you can make something look the correct size by the size of the details, and conversely, how you can ruin the illusion of scale using the wrong details. So let's start with a simple example. Here are two rocks, a small one and a big one. Now if I asked you which rock is the biggest, you'd of course answer the one that's on the right. That's because you can directly compare the big rock to the little rock and the size of the human figure. But something isn't quite right. And the problem is that the rock pattern on both rocks are the same size relative to their rock. All I did was literally scale up this rock here to make this rock there, both the shape and the details. And this leads to a visual problem. Because the way rock works is the pattern that's on a rock does not scale, it's the size of the chunk of rock that breaks off. That is the thing that scales. Check out the following image as a better example. So the house on the right is indeed the bigger house, and you'll note that it's just this house here scaled up. But because the doors and the windows are the wrong size for this human figure, something appears to be visually wrong. Either the house is some sort of imaginary house for giants, or the house is a normal-sized house, and the person standing beside it has been shrunk down somehow. So if you're trying to make a large house in a normal-sized world, just scaling the house up doesn't work. Here's another example. When someone makes a small shirt and a large shirt of the same type, they don't use a larger material for the larger shirt. They use the same material, just more of it. So the overall detailed pattern remains a constant size in both the small and big shirts relative to the world. So again, just taking the small shirt and scaling it up, both the pattern and the size, does not work. So the way to fix this issue is to remember, when the object gets bigger, the details on the object do not get bigger. They tend to have a similar size in relation to the world. This will give your objects a proper sense of scale, and big things will actually feel big. As artist Pascal Blanchet once said, the theory of the Lego block, as in when you need to make a bigger house in Lego, you don't use bigger bricks. You use more of the same sized bricks. So if we look at our rock example, we got the two rocks here, but instead of scaling up the texture, let's leave the texture the same size relative to the world. And this already looks a lot better. And here's another example, placing a detail that we all know the size of beside the rocks, in this case a ladder. Because we know generally how big a ladder is, because we know generally how far apart each rung is to allow a human body to climb it, the rock on the right seems very large. This is why people frequently put man-sized objects into sci-fi scenes, whether it's an actual person, or ladders, or doors, or windows. We know how big these things are, so by comparing them to the scene or character or whatever, we can tell how big something is. And here's a couple final examples, this one being a tree. So if we want a bigger tree, it's not just about scaling up the tree, it's about adding more branches. So in general, to make something look big, remember to keep the world size of details reasonably constant, even if the object gets larger and larger. This means both 2D surface details, like the rock texture or the size of the thread that makes up the cloth, as well as 3D details, like say if you have two bolts, one that's 1 inch tall and one that's a foot tall. Don't use the same design for both. Make a different, bulkier looking design for the big one. And if you follow this simple rule, your objects will look the correct scale. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this short little lesson interesting. And if you want more lessons like this, please go to neilblevins.com and go to the Art Lessons area that has both video and text lessons. And feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to be notified the next time I post a new video. Thank you very much.